So our scene boxes are in, and I always get excited about unboxing them. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through each grade with you that we are getting this year. I know it helped me whenever I was trying to figure out which curriculum to pick for my kids to see what was included, what was in the books, what they look like. So I'm hoping that this helps someone else. When I asked in my Instagram stories which grade y'all want to see first, the majority was sixth grade. So we're gonna start with that one today. I have my packing slip right here on the table so that I can go through and make sure I don't forget anything. If you've not watched one of these videos, or if you don't know how Scene works, if you have been with Scene before, or you have any books already from Scene, when you enroll, which we fully enroll, that is an option, you get all the books, all the lesson plans, everything that you need, the tests, they grade most of the tests and assignments. They also have counseling available, etc. So there's a lot of perks with enrolling. So for us, it is worth it. If you would like to save money, because I like to save money, if you already own a book, when you enroll, just put, I already have this book, and then they give you a credit towards your total. So I have done that this year. So I have 2 stacks. I know you can't see them, but I have my stack of what I already have from either previous children or that I got secondhand from someone. And then I have my box. I know you can't see that also, but it's off to the side. That has all the books that came in this year, like what we actually ordered brand new. I personally choose to order brand new anything that is a workbook and written in for my kids. And then things like readers or novels, we reuse those. So we try to keep them in good condition. Okay, let me get to the good stuff, right? Okay, so the first thing that is on my packing slip for sixth grade is Art 6. Now, this one, we did have this book previously from my older son, because this is for my middle child. But some of the activities ask you to draw in the book. So I went ahead and I got a new one for my daughter, who's going to sixth grade this year. So what I'm finding with Seton is that, especially middle elementary, 1 year it's more like projects and drawings and, painting. And then the next year is more like art survey, like studying the piece of art and the artist and the time period and the style, etc. So this one, if I remember right, yeah, like that, is a little more drawing and art projects. My son really liked this one. I think this was one of his favorites so far, because this year he did 7th grade and it was art survey, and he missed the drawing from 6th grade. So I think my daughter will like that one. Next is English 6, and there are lesson plans for these too, but I'll go over those then. So here's English 6. Seton is very thorough with their English program, lots of grammar, parts of speech, diagramming, and you get tests with these also, and lesson plans. And the lesson plans are very helpful, because the lesson plans is where you get the lessons for how to write a good paragraph, how to support your ideas, and then various writing assignments in it. Whereas if you just got the book, you're getting the grammar side mostly of it. You're not getting the composition and the writing side. And I think in 5th grade, there was even some like internet, like how to search, how to decide if it's a good source, how to footnote your source, etc. So that was good too. All right, next is history. For history, we have 2 books. You always have the history book, which I did get a new one because I let them answer the questions at the end of each chapter. You have your chapter review, and that's usually what we use to study for the test. Lots of maps, lots of great pictures to go with it. And this one is our Catholic Legacy World History, Volume 1, Ancient History to the Age of Discovery. So that's 6th grade. And then I know Seton, I'm pretty sure Seton is working on replacing all of the map skills or geography skills workbooks, or small workbooks, with their own, with Seton Press, because I see it in my youngest child's curriculum. However, I know that whoever they were using before, like with my oldest child, stopped printing, so they have Scholastic to kind of cover in between until they've completed. So my daughter, who's in the middle, is mostly getting Scholastic. I think my son is too at this point. So this one is map skills, for today, all around the world, grade 6. So that will match the world geography. And I like that these not only have, the instruction here and the practice here, but a lot of times they'll have a little extra something at the bottom also for the child to try. Like this one says, find out more about one ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Write a short report giving a summary of this conflict. What are the main causes? What are some possible solutions? What solutions do you might think might work? So these are optional, of course, but this could be a good discussion. This could be a good project, okay, depending on how far you want to take it as the parent. Okay, and next is music. I did not order a music book, and I'm just realizing that I don't have it with me right here. It's usually the We Sing books. I don't know how to read music. That was not something that I was taught, and I have not learned it since school. However, my daughter is picking it up fairly quickly. So she can either play some of the things on the piano, or Seton has some of the songs online. Like when you enroll, there's an area where you can go and click, and it has some of the songs. If they don't, because that's fairly new, so in the past, when they didn't have it, I would just search the title of the song on YouTube, and sometimes it would come up there, and we could listen to it, sing along with it, and such there. Also, PE doesn't have a text, but we do have lesson plans if you're enrolled, and it kind of gives you an idea of what to do. I also count like dancing, gymnastics classes, archery practice, basic exercise around the house, things like that. All right, reading is next. So in reading with Seton, you get 2 workbooks, or at least in the elementary ages. One is comprehension, and one is thinking skills. Comprehension is basically what you would expect. It's a story, and then they ask you questions about your comprehension. Usually these books have like a theme to them, like either one continuous story going through the whole book. I think 3rd grade might be like that, if I remember right. I don't know. Might be. Don't quote me. This one has, it looks like saints. Various different saints. Okay, so that one's pretty straightforward. And usually you do this one for like the first half of the year, and then we move over to thinking skills. And if you've watched any of my videos, you've heard me rave about, I love their thinking skills books. It brings in logic, analogies. There is some comprehension, but like Venn diagrams. This one is labeling the diagram. Virtues, vices, and emotions. So compare, contrast, categorize, I guess I should say. I did notice as we got into the upper grades, it starts to get more about theme and plot, which is important. So I really like these in elementary. Also, with reading, Seton requires, if you're enrolled, 4 book reports, 1 for each quarter. And the first 2 quarters are usually a novel, and then the last 2 quarters are Saint books. I let my kids pick, and sometimes they pick what their sibling picked, and it's like, yay, I already have that book. But if they want to show something new, I mean, this is great literature to have on my shelf, so I don't mind. So my daughter, out of the choices that were given, picked The Winged Watchman and The Princess and the Goblin for her 2 novels. So this one's new, and then this one my son had also chosen, so we already had that one. And then for her 2 saints, we already had this one, so The Children of Fatima, and then she also picked Saint Dominic. I love these. These by Mary Fabin. Is it Wendy? I don't know. Probably pronounced it wrong, but I like her books on the saints. Very, very good. Oh, this one is too. And they will write a 5-paragraph paper, book report on each one of these, and it gets them to start practicing thesis statements, supporting your ideas, providing examples from the text, etc. And they do give you a handbook when you enroll for this, and it is very helpful. Let's see. I don't see it. Here we go. Okay. Book report handbook. And they literally have step-by-step general, but then also when you get to grade 6 first quarter and you have the worksheet and it asks you for things like title of the book, author, when, where, who is the main character. Then they're going to choose their 3 topics that they're going to support in their book report. Write your thesis statement. Topic sentence for topic 1 or main idea sentence. Then your specific examples for topic 1, topic sentence for topic 2, etc. And they do the same for topic 3. Then it teaches them about the concluding statement. And they write their concluding statement. And then outline from the things that you wrote. And then into the rough draft. My children choose not to write too much in here. They do follow it. They usually write their examples. And then they usually go straight to typing from that point. But I like that those first couple of years when they haven't done it before, this is really helpful. And they do this for every single topic after that. For all 4 quarters. So it can all be done in here. Love, love, love that guide. You also have readers for each grade. So these are our readers for 6th grade. I did have these from my son. So I was able to check it on my order form and get a credit for these. And I like that they label them. Because eventually I end up with a bunch of books in the closet. I need to figure out which ones are for 6th grade. And then here's 6-2. So we changed to this one towards the end of the year. And these, they read the stories. They answer the comprehension questions that are in the lesson plans. The answers are also in the lesson plans for the parent to make sure that they're getting them right. And then usually their comprehension tests come from either those books or a sample story that they give them. All right, next is Religion 6. Oops. Okay, so we have I call it the textbook, but it's a workbook. So each day you have a reading, and then you have questions. Actually, this one looks like you read a whole chapter. Okay, no, it's each day. All right, so it's been a couple of years since I've taught 6th grade. Okay, so here is one day's reading right here. And then you have the fill in the blanks. Some of them are fill in the blanks, multiple choice. Last year we had a lot of crossword puzzles at the end of the week. And then again, if you are fully enrolled, Seton provides the tests for these. Oh, there was a crossword puzzle. Beautiful, beautiful artwork throughout the book. You also have Bible history. And again, you have chapter that you're reading and then filling in the answers on the review. And then Seton provides also the tests for this too. And also if you're enrolled, you're getting answer keys for these so that you can check your students' answers. So make sure they're getting them right. Oh, and St. Joseph's Baltimore Catechism. Okay. So this year she is moving up to number 2 for 6th grade. I think we were still using number 1 for 5th grade last year. Usually you get a few years out of these. So I know my son used number 2 in 7th grade. I think he's using number 2 again in 8th grade, which is good because you're reading and reviewing. We mature a little, we learn a little more. You're reading it again. It's more familiar. You understand things a little better, and so on. I ended up purchasing one of these for each of my kids, even though we had them and we didn't write in them, because I figured this is something good for them to have. So they will now have the First Communion one, the Baltimore number 1, Baltimore Catechism number 1, Baltimore Catechism number 2. So this will be her personal copy. So this is new for her this year, and then if things stay the same, she'll review it again next year. Okay. Science. Science in 6th grade comes in 2 books. And I did buy new again for these because, again, you're writing in it, right? So I think we start with Earth Science if my memory is correct. So we have earth science, and each day you have a reading and questions. I love all the color pictures. See the periodic table, rocks, minerals, maps. And then when you're done with this one, we move on to space science. And again, you have a little review after each one, answer the questions, make sure that they're comprehending what they're reading, and it's really good study aid when it's time for the test. All right, spelling. Yes, we still have spelling in 6th grade. However, I'm not super worried about my children's ability to spell because they're avid readers, so they're really great spellers. But what I like about the spelling is, so on the first day it has sort by syllables with the vowels, but this is the page that I like, or pages that I like. This one is the definitions, and this one is using the words in a sentence. So you're almost really practicing vocabulary. So that's why I still get my kids to do spelling, because mostly of these 2 pages. Now the last page, that would be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then this would be Thursday. Read the following story, paying attention to underlined words. Notice how they use the spelling rule to the right. So you have your spelling rule, and then you're seeing it applied. And then you would have your spelling test on Friday, and then you would start again on Monday. So like 1 page a day, not bad at all. And then at the end of the quarter, you have a quarter spelling test if you're enrolled from Seton, and they pick words from various lessons in the quarter, and then you call them out. And then you send them to Seton and they grade it. Okay, vocabulary. So here's vocabulary 6. Again, I got new because we write in these books. I do make my children look up the vocabulary terms in a dictionary so that they get practice with alphabetical order, using the guide words at the top. Now, once I find around 6th or 7th grade, when I can see that they're really doing well with that skill, then I'll allow them to use the glossary in the back for the terms. Let's see. To define it, but not until I see that they're using that dictionary pretty well. All right, so for vocabulary, the first day is to define the words. And then the second day is multiple choice questions about the meanings. And then this activity is pick 2 and tell whether they are similar or opposite. So out of the 4, they have to pick either the 2 that are similar or the 2 that are opposite, and then tell me that it's similar or opposite. And then this one is using the words in a sentence. And then you have the crossword puzzle with the glossary definitions here. So that's a good review. So what I ended up doing when my kids would complain about, oh, it's so much words to look up from the dictionary, I counted the first half as Monday, the second half as Tuesday, and then all of these 2 pages as Wednesday, because they felt like this was easier instead of breaking it into 2 days. And then this was Thursday's review. And then if you enroll, they give you a quiz on Friday that your child takes, and the parent grades that. The test that's sent off to Seton for them to grade is the quarter test at the end of the quarter, which pulls from all the lessons in that quarter. Oh, and math. Okay, for math, we started moving to Saxon in 5th grade. My first child, we did Seton's math book in 5th grade. With my second child, who's going to 6th grade, we did Seton's math book up to 4th grade, and then we changed to Saxon in 5th grade because she was just a little bit ahead. So she is using, this is actually math 7, so this is 7th grade math, and we're using math 7-6. Now, Seton does not have these books available, but they were super easy. Like I found this one on thriftbooks.com. If you need a little referral code, let me know. I'll give you a deal on that. And I ordered it off of there. And then now I'm reusing it with all of my children. You can usually sometimes find them used online elsewhere too, or in homeschool groups, because this is a pretty popular book for homeschooling. I like the actual textbooks because they do have the homeschool workbooks now, but I like the actual textbooks. And we reuse them. And I usually give them like the evens or the odds, unless I really feel like they need extra practice. And then I do have the answer key. I think it's on my cart over there. For me to just check them quickly at the end of the day to make sure that they're getting everything right and they're understanding the material. So that's all the books that we get from Seton for 6th grade being enrolled. You also get a planner book for the lesson planning. I actually don't use this because I like my happy planner, so I get the teacher happy planner. But I end up giving this to my kid. So to start practicing, probably about 6th, 7th grade. I think I did 7th grade with my son. I think I'm going to do 6th grade with my daughter. And I'll write their assignments so that they can go through and check. Because some subjects they can do without my help. And then I just check to make sure that they completed it and that they got things right. And then that way they know, okay, what do I have left in school today, or am I done with school today? Whereas other subjects I do need to help them with, like math, and then I need to review history and science with them, make sure they're understanding the material and pronouncing the words correctly. Seton usually does send a rosary to each child. And this book is different from last year, so I wonder if they kind of rotate through the book. So here's the rosary. And then this one says a prayer group for children about the rosary. I think last year was a book on how to say the rosary. So I really like that they send that too. Okay, you also get, when you're fully enrolled, all the lesson plans, which include what to teach each day, how much to assign each day, the answers to all the assignments, and workbooks, the tests that you're going to give your kid, etc. So each grade gets this little getting started, and this kind of explains how being enrolled with Seton works, how the grading works, how the testing works, how to submit them. We submit everything online because it's just so easy. We still do paper right now, but I think as my son gets into the upper grades, we might start doing more online testing. They have the grading scale. They also, I really like these, give us the attendance record, because some states require you to keep attendance and make sure that you have a certain amount of days. And they have one for each quarter. Okay, so first, second, third, fourth. I end up putting these in my grading binder and just updating them probably weekly as I add tests. If you do want to send off your test, though, you don't want to do the online version, they do have this every quarter when all the grades are done. You fill this out, you send it in, and it has all the instructions on here. And you mail it to them, and then they will upload the grades online. Okay, so that's that. That was really helpful my first year because I wasn't sure how any of it worked. So that I read, I think I pretty much read that whole thing my first year. All right, here's Art 6. And this tells you, it has introduction and teaching tips. And then it actually tells you, like in the first quarter, so weeks 1 through 9, this is what you should be doing. It basically says complete lessons 1 through 10, which is projects 1 through 6 in the book. And then you submit your child's first quarter grade. So art's pretty self-explanatory. You're just working through the book. So there's not a ton in the lesson plans, but it gets a little more thorough with other subjects. So like, let's see, PE. Okay, music is similar. This would have been the book. I have it somewhere in storage. I need to go pull it out. Again, they give you ideas about how to incorporate the music in lessons, and this is what your lesson plan looks like. So per quarter, and then how to grade your child. So again, music doesn't have a ton of lesson plans. So what I was saying was PE is similar. Here's PE. And again, it has some general guidelines at the beginning. Now this one has per week what you're working on. So for example, week 1 you're working on pull-ups, and it gives you information about the correct form and where your child should be. Like kids at this age should be doing this many, or kids at this age should be able to do this many. Week 2 is sit-ups. Week 3 is a standing broad jump. Week 4 is a shuttle run, etc. Okay, so this is if you have no idea what to do, or maybe your kids are not in any kind of extracurricular sports, they do still give you something to work on for PE. Okay, now to get into the bigger packets. I just realized I didn't open these. Some of them come in the clear wrap, and some of them come stapled. I guess the bigger ones come in the clear wrap. So here's English 6. And I do end up putting all this in a binder, so maybe I'll need to make another video about how to do that. So it has the introduction, lesson plans for each quarter, paragraph writing handbook, test books, answer key tests, and quarter report forms. Again, at the beginning, it has some introduction, how to grade, how to do things, and then the color lesson plans, which are fairly new. As you work through like day 1, day 2, it shows you which book you're working from, what to do, and then you can check it when you're done. Okay, so most of this is going to be the English book, but every once in a while it'll say paragraph writing handbook, like this paragraph. Reasons paragraph assignment. It gives the instructions. It gives topics. And then you're going to submit this to Seton for grading. Now there's other practice before that. This would be the week 27. So that's in the 3rd quarter. I'm trying to flip through. Okay, paragraph writing handbook. So when you enroll, you're getting more than just the lesson plan and the English book, because you're also getting this paragraph writing handbook that goes over steps for writing a paragraph, kinds of paragraphs, etc. Teach you the web, the outline, give you examples, assignments, using a thesaurus, beginning sentence, middle sentences, etc. So you're really getting a little bit more than just the book and the lesson plans when you're enrolling. You're also getting the paragraph writing handbook and assignments, and then they're grading those for you. I like that I don't grade my kids writing. Seton does, so it's not like, oh, well, of course you got an A, your mom graded it. Nope, Seton did. and then if you get a B or a C, or hopefully not a D, but they're giving you feedback on how to fix it, where the points come off, etc. So then further in this, still the same packet, here's your answer key for your workbook. And then further into that packet, I won't do this for every subject, but I want you to be able to see. You start getting the tests, okay, from Seton. And I believe most of these are all Seton graded. Some subjects, they have some parent graded and some Seton graded. And then again, if you're mailing in, we have the quarter report form of what you should be mailing in for your grades. Again, I just do ours online. It's just so much easier. Scan it with my notes app on my phone and upload it. So you're getting with each subject's lesson plan, the lesson plan, which tells you what to teach every day, go over every day, the answer keys, some supplemental information, like this one has the paragraph writing handbook, and then the tests also. All right, so that was English. Here's history. Let's grab some scissors. What I like about their history lesson plans is, again, it gives some supplemental information. Like, for example, okay, here's week 1, and it says day 1, these are the parts of the book that you're reading, and you're reading the chapter review questions. And on day 2, it says read and study the chapter, but it also adds in this extra information pertaining to what you're reading. Day 3, Again, this is only in the lesson plans. Read an encyclopedia, a library book, or on the internet about the Bronze Age and the Iron Age, okay? Or about the Great Flood or Moses on a Catholic website. So it's got some extra supplemental information for them to do also. And then it says fill in the answers for the chapter review, study for the test. And then here we go for introduction, chapter 1 test off the camera. And then we move on to map skills. So again, it shows you which book you're using map skills or the history book for each day. So again, there's some extra information in the history plans. And then like this one has some extra questions. And again, we're getting the answer key for the book and then the test. So with Seton's test in history, see this one, chapter 1 is parent graded, and then they're going to give you the key. So you're going to grade that test. But then let's see, in chapter 2, 3, 4 are parent graded, and then chapter 5 is scene graded. So this one you would upload to your My Scene page, and they will grade that one, and so on. And then, so same thing, at the end is just the report to send it in. Okay, for reading 6, they also show you, their lesson plans have come a long way, even just in the 5 years we've been enrolled. Used to be all black and white and not very much pictures. Now it's all color, and like for reading 6, these are the books that you should have, plus your book report books, so you know what you're looking for each subject. So in reading, they'll tell you which part to read from, but they'll also have comprehension questions from your readers. So that's one of the helpful things with the reading lesson plans. They also go over, I think they give you usually like the last 2 weeks in each quarter to work on, or week and a half, your book reports. Kind of help pace the student through the book report. So here's our religion. These are the books you should need for religion. And again, it's showing you, okay, we're working from this book today and this book on day 1. And then when you're done, you go over here and you check it. And then it also has the tests. The tests are usually a quarter test on the religion book material and then a quarter test on the Bible history material. So you really have to study for your religion test in scene. Okay, here you go. This is what their lesson plans used to look like. This is the math lesson plan for 7-6. If you do not want to use a book, Scene also offers teaching textbooks online for math, so you can have that choice also. This one's going to be mostly the answers, to be honest with you. See, there's your answer key, and then your test at the end. But at the beginning, because Saxon is pretty straightforward, you do these lessons, you take this test, covers these lessons, and you give it after this because it has that spiral review in it. And again, a lot of these tests, it's like half parent graded, half scene graded. So let's see. So for example, this one says first quarter test 3, give after lesson 20, parent grade test. So you're gonna have the answers for this one and you'll grade it. But then there will also be this one, which is first quarter test 4, give after lesson 25. This is scene graded because you see how it doesn't say parent graded. So, and I really like that they do a good bit of the grading. All I have to do is upload it. All right, our science lesson plans. So these will be the books that you need for science. And then again, it tells you what to do each day. There's your answer key. And then your tests. And I believe some of these are parent. Oh yeah, this is the ones. This was the year they give you like a pre-test A, pre-test B, pre-test C, and then once you're kind of going through, you have gone through those, then they give you the senior graded test on all the chapters. And again, some of these tests are multiple chapters, so a lot of studying, a lot of remembering. You're not taking one chapter and then taking one test. Okay, spelling, the smaller lesson plan, so they don't have the wrap on it. Here's your answer key. And then they give you the list for your quarter tests to call out. And then your lesson plan just explains how to use the book, because this one's pretty straightforward. It's basically a page a day and then a test on Friday. And vocabulary, also pretty straightforward, a page a day. They do give you the glossary, and then they give you the quizzes. And the quizzes, the top half, you're in 6th grade, you're defining. Like they give you the word and you're writing the definition. And then at the bottom half is fill in the blank with the correct vocabulary term. And they give you a word bank to put in there. So you have a quiz after each week, and then you have a quarter test after 9 weeks. I guess 8 weeks, because it'll be on the 9th week. All right, I think that is everything I have for 6th grade. So check back, because I have students in 8th grade and 2nd grade this year. So those will be the other 2 unboxings I'll be doing. And if I have enough time, I'll also do an unboxing of the supplements that we ordered too.